DevOps automation tool. And Jenkins started as continuous integration tool decade ago. And so it didn't stop there. The developers who are working on Jenkins tool, right? They innovated, they came up with new ideas, and they today made a complete end-to-end DevOps tool. So majority of job openings today in the market for DevOps, Jenkins is a mandatory skill. But industry is slowly moving towards other tools like GitLab CI/CD and Azure DevOps, GitHub Actions, right? So industry is moving towards such tools. Going forward down the line, we will see various options for DevOps automation. But at least now, Jenkins is widely used. But in future, that may not be the case. And to start with Jenkins, let us install Jenkins, number one, and let us configure Jenkins with minimum plugins. So I'm using AWS account for getting virtual machines. So I say launch instance. I give a name, come down, and key pair. See, I'm not going to explain in detail about what is AWS EC2, all that. I believe most of you know what it is, right? So I select a key pair, or I create new one. I say seminar. I go with default options and create. So I'm selecting Jenkins seminar as a key pair. And yeah, I have to change network settings because Jenkins listens on 8080. 8080 is default port, and we should make sure 8080 is open. But to keep the configuration simple, I say all traffic. In real world, all traffic is not recommended. You never do this. In real world, you must open exactly the ports you wish to open, not all traffic. But this is seminar to keep things simple. I'm using all traffic, but don't use this in production. So, and the next one is launch instance. That's it. So view all instances. This is the one we are interested in, right? I put a filter, not pending. I say running. See, there are 17 plus instances. I don't want to mess up my instance with all 17. So I add a filter saying state is running so that I see only my instance, right? Right. So once you have this, open terminal. On Windows, you have to open git bash or putty or mobile xterm. Use SSH command. Provide the location of PEM file. Right. And username. Default username in Amazon for Linux is EC2 user at public IP. So copy its public IP, use it here. There's a prompt for yes, no, say yes. Yeah, we got unprotected private key file warning. This warning is because the private key file is unprotected. Private key file is password and it should be protected. Only the user must see the file, use the file. But if you completely read this warning, it says the permissions with private keys 644. So in Linux, 6 means read and write. 4 means read. 7 means read, write, execute. So here 6 indicates current user. That's me. I have read and write. And 4, the group I belong to, which is 4 means read. Others also read, which means everyone can read my password. That's the problem. To fix this, change mode 400 and the location of the file. So I'm giving read permissions to me and no permissions to group and no permissions to others. So after fixing the permissions, go back to previous command, run, and we are inside EC2 instance. So on this EC2 instance, I want to set up Jenkins. So go to jenkins.io, click on download, and Jenkins can be set up in several ways. One is like a war. You can take the war and put it on a web server of your choice, like Tomcat, WebLogic, JBoss. Yes, that's one way of deploying. And second option, you can run Jenkins on a Docker container. You can run inside Kubernetes. And in this seminar, let's see how to set up Jenkins on a Linux machine. Right. So click on that, get these commands and execute them. Run. After that, the second one, run, right? And you also must install JDK 11. What I do is, see, we are not setting up this on a normal Linux machine. This is Amazon Linux. So few configurations will be different for Amazon Linux. So what I do is, one second, sudo yum. I want to list packages on yum repository, where package names starting with Java 11. So I will use grep Java 11. And you see here, I want to use this guy, Java 11 Amazon Coreto. Coreto is a flavor of Java. Take this, sudo yum install and say -y. So it's installing Java 11. So after that, you do Jenkins installation. I put sudo and yum install Jenkins, say y, which is yes. Yeah. Jenkins installation is success. Let's start Jenkins and enable Jenkins. Sudo systemctl start Jenkins and also enable Jenkins so that you don't have to manually start Jenkins whenever your virtual machine restarts. It's taking some time. Let's wait. And feel free to interact with me. If you have doubts, questions, you can interact with me. Yeah, Jenkins got started. And I said, make sure you enable Jenkins so that whenever VM reboots, Jenkins auto starts. This is good. So Jenkins installation is done. We need to do the initial configuration. Copy its public IP. Jenkins runs on 8080. That's default port, right? And to securely set up Jenkins, you must unlock Jenkins. To unlock Jenkins, you'll have initial admin password in this path. Cat prefix with sudo. Get this. This is one-time password. You don't have to save this because it won't work next time onwards. Right. Customize Jenkins. Either install suggested plugins or select plugins to install. Because if you're new to Jenkins, you may not know which plugins to select. The best option here is install suggested plugins. Yeah, it takes some time. Yeah, meanwhile, let's do one thing. Let this happen. It's taking time. So coming to Jenkins, we do automations using jobs. We call them Jenkins jobs. And we have freestyle jobs, which doesn't require a code. I mean, we don't have to write the code. We have to select right options and configure it. But freestyle jobs are seldom used. Almost no one is using freestyle jobs nowadays. So there's no importance for freestyle jobs. Even it makes no sense talking about freestyle, but at least there was freestyle jobs. And after that, Jenkins introduced a modern way of automating DevOps activities. That is pipeline jobs. And in pipeline, there are two syntaxes. One is declarative syntax, other one is scripted syntax. So scripted syntax is the one which is added in the beginning of pipeline. So, and declarative syntax is recently added one. The idea behind declarative syntaxes or declarative type of pipelines is to make the code readable and it is meant for easy to write and easy to read. But flexibility wise, declarative will have less flexibility when compared with scripted. So scripted gives more control, more flexibility, but still, right, industry is using declarative pipelines a lot. So again, learning declarative pipelines will make more sense than learning scripted pipelines. Durga, your question is why freestyle jobs are not used, right? Okay, so now there is a concept, there is a principle called pipeline as a code or job as a code. So we want to use code for automation. So when you use code for automation, you can commit that code into Git repository. The code can be reviewed, correct? And the history can be saved in Git repository. Plus, it provides more flexibility. So writing code versus selecting options. Obviously, writing code gives more flexibility. That's the reason pipeline jobs has become popular over freestyle jobs. See, freestyle jobs, they are easy to work with, easy to use, but you can't do complex things with freestyle jobs. It has limitations. Unlike freestyle, pipelines will have higher flexibility. You can do anything with that because it's code. See, you can write the code the way you want, but you can't achieve everything in freestyle. But you can achieve everything in pipeline. I think, yeah, a couple of plugins are still pending, right? Yeah, it's about to finish. So what I will do is, I will not show CI/CD and all those things. I will try to cover the fundamental concepts of pipeline so that you can build anything on top of it. It's taking so much time. So typically it's not take this much time. It usually takes 1 minute max to max, but it's taking a lot of time today. That's okay. Yeah. So meanwhile, if you have doubts, questions, we can discuss. Or I will do one thing. I already have one more Jenkins with me. We can go with that. Instead of waiting for this instance to become ready. I go with this better. Okay, this also came up. Okay, no problem. I'll go with this. Job home. Save and continue. This one, save and finish. And start using Jenkins. Yeah, Jenkins is ready. I said in Jenkins, every automation is done using a job. We got freestyle job, pipeline job. In pipeline, we got two syntaxes, one scripted pipeline, other one declarative pipeline. So click on new item and give a name, and you see bunch of options, freestyle, pipeline, and folder, multi-branch pipeline, organization folder, so on and so forth. I go with pipeline and give a name. I say, okay. Right. So let's begin with hello world. Okay. This pipeline should say welcome. Any programming language we learn, we start with hello world. So you can use this option, try sample pipeline. Yeah. Select hello world. It generated hello world stuff. Let's understand the structure of this job. See, pipeline is the main block. So inside pipeline, we have many different constructs. We have agent construct. Agent tells where this job should run. Right now, we have only one agent, that is Jenkins master, nothing but the machine where we installed Jenkins. But in Jenkins, we can do master slave configurations. We can add multiple nodes. We can have different slaves like cloud, Docker, such slaves. So in such cases, you must tell on which machine, which slave the job should run. So this is agent section. You tell where the job should run, followed by stages. So every pipeline will have stages like take the code, do Maven build, do Maven test, perform Docker build, and do Docker scanning, push artifacts to Nexus. So every pipeline, typically CI/CD pipeline, will contain various stages. So here, inside pipeline block, stages, right? Inside stages, stage 1 and stage 2, stage 3, likewise. And in this case, right, this is just hello world. Let's have a stage with name hello. So every stage must have a name. And inside stage, you must have steps. Inside steps, your actual tasks should go. In this case, right, the actual task of the job is to print hello world. I repeat, pipeline is the main block. So if pipelines begin with node, it is scripted pipeline. If pipelines begin with pipeline, it is declarative pipeline. Followed by agent section, this is mandatory. Followed by stages, that's also mandatory. Inside that stage, name of the stage, steps, inside step, the actual task should go. So save, do build, that prints hello world. See, name of the stage, and you can see logs, which is hello world. You can see here in the stage view, or you click on this green circle, it opens console output. You can see the console output here. So any questions so far? Right. Fine. Okay. So let us try scripted one for your understanding. So new item, scripted, seminar, hello world. Again, option is same, pipeline. So go to pipeline. This time use node, stages, stage, inside stage, the step. See the difference? We use node, which is scripted syntax. If we use pipeline, that is declarative syntax. And stages, stage, and if you see the construct difference, in declarative, we have steps. Inside steps, we put this echo statement. But in this case, right, steps not required. Save, build. Oh. No such method stages. Probably my syntax is wrong. Second. Hold on, please. How was it different? Oh, okay. Stage is not required. Got it. We directly write a stage. Perfect. Stage. Hello. And inside stage, steps are not required. You can directly write your steps. Echo. Perfect. See that output is same, but the syntax is different. Any questions so far? Right. So that's the hello world declarative pipeline example and scripted pipeline example. Let's go and continue our discussions on scripted pipeline. Fine. So let us try to do a checkout and let us try to do a Maven build followed by this. See, great. Checkout. This stage must check out the code from Git repository. Fine. The Git repository I'm going to use for this example is LMS. LMS is a project I created for one of our internal training purpose. So it is public repository. You guys can use this for your practice as well. So I want to check out this, but in pipeline, in order to check out, we need to write a code, correct? And beginners may not know what code to write, correct? So that's why Jenkins provides pipeline syntax. Open this. In that, go to steps. Inside steps, check for Git. So to check out code from Git, you need repository URL, and you must specify the branch. So main, you also must specify credentials if this repository is public, private, but ours is public, credentials not required. But suppose this is private, what you have to do is click on add, click on Jenkins. So how you access Git repository? Two ways. If it is HTTPS, we give username and password. If it is SSH, we generate public private keys and we configure public key in the remote Git repository. Let me go with username and password. With username, password, username, my GitHub username and password. That's the password, and provide the ID. I call this GitHub credentials. Again, I say GitHub add. So select this one and generate and see this one. It is giving us a single line. Paste that here. So let me explain what this line means. So here, Git is a function. Git is a function. And it's taking 3 arguments. Number 1, branch, which branch to check out. Number 2, credentials, username, password for checking out the repository. Correct? Number 3, URL, the Git repository URL, which contains your code. I repeat, Git is a function taking 3 arguments: branch, credential ID, URL. And in the background, this is implemented in Groovy. In the behind the scenes, Groovy will come into picture and it will check out the code from this repository. This is equivalent to git clone and the repository URL, or git pull the repository, origin and main. So what it does, if repository not present, it does git clone. If a local copy is present, it will do git pull. Let's save and do a build. It may fail. And let's see why it got failed. See, if Jenkins pipeline jobs fail, the troubleshooting done with help of console output. See this one, click on this icon and it gives us detailed information about why it is failing. So git command, git init, right? It says cannot run program git. So the problem is git is not installed on Jenkins. That's a problem. So go to your command prompt. Go onto your Jenkins terminal, say sudo yum install git -y and go back to your job again, do a build. This time it should not fail because git is installed. Perfect. Success. Right. Click on this, and take this one for a while. See, in any programming language, generally, see, behind the scenes, I said git is a function. So somewhere behind the scenes, a function is defined with name git, like this. And this git takes a map. This git takes a map. 1 second. Let's go to Groovy map. Let's take this one. See how map is created in Groovy. This is empty map. I do one thing. I take online compiler. No, I will go with this JDoodle. See, this is empty map. Fine. And you can add data. I gave a different name. This is empty map. So to empty map, you can add data. So config of, let's say, branch equals main, config of URL equals https github.com/java home tech/lms, and the other one is config of credential ID equals something like this. So what's happening is here, 1 second. So, so interrupt me if I'm confusing you. What's happening here is get is a function behind the scenes, and it is taking a map as an argument. So this map should contain branch, URL, credentials. Fine. Just 1 minute. So I will define a dummy function for you to understand. Let me take out that, see, behind the scenes, Git is a function and it takes one argument, and that argument should contain 3 keys and 3 values. Or I will say print config. So when you call this, just give me a minute. See, let's say this is a function written by Jenkins behind the scenes, and we are calling that function like this. See this one, function name is get, and we are passing a map, and it is taking a map. Let's try to execute this and check this one. What is going inside? Branch name is going, the credential ID it should use is going, and URL is also going. So what I'm trying to say is Git is a function and it is taking a map. This is map with 3 entries. So here the logic, inside this, the logic is if repository is already cloned, it will do a pull. If repository doesn't exist at all, it will do a clone. And clone and pull operations are performed using Groovy in the background. Any questions on this? Hello? Right. So while calling a function, you also can provide parentheses like this. Still, that is valid, but I removed this print. See, that is valid, but typically no one use this approach. We always go with space, function name, space, argument 1, argument 2, argument 3, and so on and so forth. So if you give your credentials, your repository, it will check out your repository and it will use your branch specified here. Any questions on this? So all steps in pipeline is built similarly. The code, right? We are calling Git function. Where is that code? That is embedded part of your Jenkins installation. So behind the scenes, it calls this code and it passes this information, and accordingly that code functions. Right. This is about checkout. And let's do Maven build. Maven build. After doing a checkout, this is Java project. I want to do a Maven build. So what is the command to build a Maven project? MVN clean package or MVN package. Let us find out, is there any direct step in pipeline syntax for Maven? Expand this and type with M, and you see only 2 options with M, mail and milestone, but there is no direct option for Maven. So what we should do is go and use SH step. SH step is for running commands directly on the node. So the command we want to run is mvn clean package and generate. So take this again. sh is a method and it is taking string argument, only one. It takes this and it executes that command in the background. Take this. So say mvn clean package, save and do a build. It should do two tasks. Task one, take latest code. Task two, run maven clean package, build it. It failed. Let's check why it failed. It failed because maven command not found. So we need to install maven for working with this. So go on to Jenkins Linux server, use sudo yum install maven-y. So now go back and do a build again. So this time it succeeded. Go to console output. Scroll completely down. And success, right? So we are able to successfully clone and successfully build. Now, okay. So next we will see how to use parameters in Jenkins jobs. Right. So parameters makes the job highly reusable. Means we can pass different inputs and use same logic. For example, we want a parameterized job to deploy to dev, to deploy to stage, deploy to, what is that, pre-prod, deploy to production, likewise. So I need a parameterized job where user will select the environment and he does the deployment. So I will use same job and I will configure a same job with parameters. So under general section, this option, this project is parameterized. We have two ways to configure parameters in pipeline. One, directly in the UI, configure this. Number two, you add a pipeline code so that it will make changes to your UI. So let us go with pipeline code. You got my point, right? See, one option is this. Select and choose the options and save. The other option is don't make these changes by yourself. Write a declarative code and that code will make changes to the settings, which this is recommended. Why? Because in future, if you move this pipeline to some other Jenkins, you don't have to configure those things manually, which is auto-configured using the code. Yeah. I already installed Maven build, Rajani. So take the help of pipeline syntax. This time it is not snippet generator. You must go with directive generator. So under directive generator, select parameters. Under parameters, add. So I want to select choice parameter, name. See, parameter name. This is your choice, up to you, environment. Now I say dev, test, stage, prod. The idea is this job should take the environment as a value and accordingly do the deployment. Generate and take this, go to your pipeline. So parameters must come under pipeline outside stages. It can, agent parameters can be interchanged. You can move it up and down. Order doesn't matter here. So likewise, you can add as many parameters as you need for this job. See, save. The moment you save, the changes are not reflecting. Changes will reflect only when you do a build. So you're doing a build. Now the code is executing. That code will make changes to the pipeline settings. Next time, you will see the options to select. Do a refresh and see this. After code executed first time, it says build with parameters. Name of the parameter is environment and description I gave, and choose this one. So this is how we add parameters. So we are done with adding parameters, and we will see how to use parameters. So what I want to do is, I want to do checkout if it is develop branch, Maven build if it is develop branch. And I want to do a deployment, dev deployment if it is develop branch. Okay. So this is not actual deployment. This is echo statement. My point is, all three stages must run if the environment is dev. So let us continue adding more stages. I say this one is test deploy. Stage deploy. Likewise, prod deploy. See, we are not doing actual deployments, but the point here is how to use parameters along with conditions. So according to our requirement, when we should do this, if it is dev, I want to do a checkout only for dev. So I'm covering two things here. Number one, parameters. Number two, conditions. See this. When expression. So I want to put a condition on parameters. So whatever parameter selected by the user, that is stored in params map by the pipeline. So what is the name of parameter? What is that, sir? Name is environment. So params.environment. This returns me the option selected by the user is equals to dev. What does it mean now? If parameter selected by user is dev, only then this will run. Otherwise, it won't run. Let us try that. Save, build, dev. Yeah, now it's running all. Now it is running all because I say checkout if it is dev. Let me try without, with a different parameter, test. Will it do a checkout now? It should not do a checkout now. You can see that. See, it's not doing a checkout. It is skipping the checkout and going with Maven clean package. 1 second. Go back. The actual logic I want to implement is Maven build also should happen when environment is dev. Dev deploy also should happen when environment is developed. Test deploy should happen when the environment selected is test. Now stage deploy should happen when environment selected is stage, and prod deployment should happen when environment selected is prod. Save, build. So if I do prod, it will skip checkout, it will skip Maven, it will skip dev deploy, it will skip test deploy, stage deploy, it will run only prod deploy. See that. Git checkout skipped, Maven build skipped, dev deploy skipped, test deploy skipped, state deploy skipped, and production deploy is happening. So we use parameterized jobs like this. Any questions? Okay. Then post-build actions. So after your build is success or failure or unstable, we want to do certain operations post-build. For that, there is a directive. So you find all directives under declarative directive generator. So inside that, you see, where is that? Post, this one, post. Let's say I want to perform certain operation always, or when success, or when failure. Let me say run always. When success, when failure. Generate this. See this one. You got a block, configure, pipeline. So outside stages, minute. Let me align this properly. Oh. See this one. Post is a block. Always means it runs always. Let me put echo. Running always. So this one, success, runs only when the job is success. And failure, when job failed. Save, build. Let me randomly pick one option and see this one. Run always is running always. See, now the status is success, right? Status is success. So always is running, success is running, but failure didn't run. See that? I don't see a log for failure. Durga? Your question is, can I integrate JDK, Maven installation in Jenkins dashboard, not in EC2? Yes, it is possible. Okay, you're asking me to show that procedure, right? Let me show Maven installation. So Durga's question is this. So I'm using Git, I'm using Maven, and I'm using Java or JDK. So I'm doing installations from the terminal using sudo yum install Maven. And we did yum install Git. We did yum install Java. So instead of doing like this, you also can install tools from Jenkins dashboard like this. Go to dashboard, manage Jenkins, tools, right? Let me show how to set up Maven installations from here. Add Maven. Name, I call this Maven 3 and choose the version, and there is a checkbox, install automatically and do a save, which does the installation automatically. Right. Likewise, you can set up any tool and the configurations the way we configure and set up those tools may be different. Yeah. If you set up tools from manage Jenkins tools, right? You must use a different syntax in the code. Means, so here, you must use tools option. I show that using a syntax, pipeline syntax, go to declarative, go to tools, add Maven. See there, I gave name as Maven 3, generate, get this one, and use it here. Means I'm saying I want Maven 3 to be in the path, and using that Maven clean package will work. Durga, I think you understood how to do that. Okay. So I covered the basic construct like agent, tools, parameters, and post build actions. And the main things, stages. So any other things you would like to see in this seminar?
Yes, sir. Multi-branch pipeline and shared libraries.
Come again?
Multi-branch pipeline and also shared libraries, sir.
Okay, we have limited time. Fine, no problem. I will cover shared libraries and multi-branch. If possible, I will make a video.
Okay, sir.
So I will cover shared libraries and I'll close this topic today. What do you say?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go with shared libraries. See, using shared libraries, we can make the code reusable. It's like a function. You write a function and it can be called several times. The benefit is code reusability. We are reusing. And it also gives maintainability. You may ask me, if code reusability is the case, I can copy paste it, right? Same code I can copy paste. So if you do copy paste, it causes maintenance issues, because if you copy paste same code in 10 places, let's say tomorrow the logic is changing, you must identify all 10, make changes in all 10. So that's why keeping it in a function and calling it is the best approach. So it gives you reusability and maintainability. All right. So I will give step-by-step instructions how to use a shared library. So let me take one simple example. See, I have a logic to deploy to a Tomcat. That's my logic. So the logic is take war file from Jenkins or take war file from Nexus and deploy this war file onto Tomcat and restart Tomcat. And this logic may be required in many projects. May be required in my project for dev deploy, stage deploy, prod deploy, and likewise, it may be required in other pipelines also. So if you have such requirements, you must go for a shared library. If you want some function reusable within a pipeline, we can directly write a function in the pipeline. If you want some function which is which should be reusable across pipelines, then you must write a shared library. So what I do, I will show step-by-step approach how to use shared libraries, how to configure shared libraries, and don't focus on the logic. Don't focus on the use case. Focus only on the process. Focus only on the flow, not on the logic. See this. See, number one, let's say my shared library should send email for a given email ID. That's the logic. I want to send an email based on the email ID given to that function. Step number one, shared libraries must go in Git repository or other source code management repositories, but it should sit in a repository. So what I do is new repository. I call this seminar libs. In real world, make this your project name and libs. Don't give like this. Real world, let the project name reflect in the repository name. Create it. And shared libraries must follow a standard folder structure. Shared libraries can have SRC folder, VARs folder, resources folder. VARs folder contains your scripts, reusable scripts. SRC folder contains Groovy code. We usually use it for utilities. And resources folder for storing configuration files. But out of three, VARs is mandatory, SRC and resources are optional. So repository is created. So I want to, the shared library we want to build is, it should take a mail ID and send email. So click on create new file. I told you, right? Scripts must go inside VARs folder. So to create VARs folder, you do VARs /. See that the moment you put /, GitHub is making it as a folder. Now here I want to say send email dot Groovy. The script name is send email dot Groovy. Extension should be Groovy. And see the convention I am following. Send email is beginning with S lowercase and second word beginning with uppercase E, right? This must be the convention. Now, write the logic. This function should send an email. So it is written in Groovy, sir. In Groovy, to define a function, def function name is call, and it takes one argument, that is email. I did not get you, Rajani. What is that? Next video? Branching strategy, or what is that? Yeah. So the function name must be called, and this function can take any number of arguments. But in our case, we want to take one argument, that is email, and the logic to send email. But like I said, don't focus on the logic, focus on the flow. I say echo sending email to email. It is not actually sending mail. It is just printing sending email. Commit. A simple shared library is created. Now, we want to use this shared library in the pipeline. So next step is configure details about the repository. Go to Jenkins, manage Jenkins, system configuration. See, global pipeline libraries, add, give a name, any name, your choice, default version. It is going to check out the code from Git, and default version means the branch, default branch you want to use, followed by how to retrieve shared libraries. It is sitting in modern SCM, that is Git. Repository details, take this. If it is private, provide credentials and add, but copy the name, add it. This is second step. First step, oh, I'm sorry, remove this. Don't click on add, you should click on save. First step, create a repository, create vars folder, and create your function and put the logic. Second step, configure that in manage Jenkins and configure system. Save it. Third step is use that in the pipeline. So let's take this at the rate library underscore. See, we are importing. After importing, let's say in success, I want to send email. What is the script name? Send email. See here, send email, and it takes one argument. I will put Hari dot and save, build with parameters and build and check it out. And see this, sending email to Hari.Kamala. From where this is coming from? This one. Sending email to the value I'm passing here. So that's about shared library. So if you want to add new library, very simple. Add a file, create new file. Let's say I want to say welcome as a shared library dot Groovy, and as usual def call. This time let's take name and put echo statement. I want to say hi, name of, followed by the name, comma, welcome to Jenkins shared library. So commit. It is already configured, right? I don't have to again go back to my Jenkins, manage Jenkins, configure system and do it. It's already there. Repository is same. The new script is added. So in the pipeline also, I don't have to again do @library. Correct. This is a library pointing to two scripts. Now what I did, welcome, correct? Welcome. So in success, for example, I want to use that welcome. So welcome and name. Save, build, and build. And see that. Hi, Hari Kamala. Welcome to Jenkins shared library, followed by. So these two are shared libraries. And if you have any complex code, put it in shared library, call it as a step. Questions? Okay. Thank you then. That's all for today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.